What's going on, everyone? Today we're going to be going over the car and starting to work on it. Okay everyone, here's the car. I'm going to do a little walk around on it. But first, let's start with the trunk. I learned that from a feller, Vice Grip Garage, Derek. Always start with the trunk. And as you can see, there's a lot of parts back here. Engine cover, vacuum line, mass airflow sensor, the underground cover, battery box, miscellaneous covers, and that's not it. Whenever I got the car, I opened the trunk and all the plug wires were sitting back here, and there was a bag of bolts and spark plugs and some other miscellaneous things. And I went and looked under the hood. None of the plug wires were here. Oh yeah, the coil box was in the back as well. I went to lean on it like this, and the whole intake went forward, and it wasn't even bolted in at all. And the valve cover, every single bolt was loose by about that much, sticking up. And this nut was missing. This one was in the bag. And I was like, well, and all the bolts were out of this whole entire front, so you could pull it and it would pull back. So I pulled it back, and I put all the bolts in for the intake and all the valve cover bolts, and put in the wires. There was one plug missing right here for some reason, and the rest were brand new. So I'd use an old one right there, which I'm going to replace with a brand new one once I'm done. I had to figure out the firing order, put all the wires in, and I just plugged this in right there because it's really hard to mount. Cranked the key and it fired right up. Dipstick was also missing. Got one from a junkyard, you'll see in a later video. And there's just a bunch of miscellaneous parts missing and broken. Throughout this series, I'll be getting them and installing them. And by the end, we should have a really nice car. And on the inside, we got this. The reason this car went into the shop was the shifter stopped working. Like, it was just loose. And then the guy decided that the timing chain was thrown, which it isn't, and decided to take apart the whole top of the engine, but only got to the valve cover, and then had it for like a year, and then just gave it back, and like half the bolts are missing, and part of the engine cover's missing. This is like this. If you can get it to go into gear, but if you go all the way over like to 5th, it falls out because the bushings are gone on the inside. That I have these parts ordered. The rest is pretty good. It's just dirty. This is all falling apart. I need to order a new one of those. This is coming out. I don't know what to do about that. Might be able to fix it. Back seats are good, except for that piece is fallen from Arizona heat. Sunroof works. The electric part works too. Other than that, the car's in great shape, besides the little sunshade at the top and on top of the trunk. But the rest is pretty good. Nice and shiny. So yeah, there's the car. The issue we're having here with it running is it starts up just fine and it idles, but it's kind of fluctuating. And the second you give it gas, it tries to die. So you have to slowly give it gas and then it'll rev up. But if you like hit it like this, it'll want to die. I'm guessing it's a giant vacuum leak, since whenever I put it back together, I didn't get new intake gaskets because I was just trying to see if it would run before I bought it. So I just chucked them on there, and one could be pinched or they could just be bad gaskets. And there's also the vacuum leak from the brake booster line, which I plugged, but it's probably not fully plugged. So I'll show you, demonstrate here. Right here, see it's idling. Now if I go to give it gas, it wants to die. It's weird. See, look at my foot. But if I slowly move my foot like this, it revs up. So I don't know what the issue is. I'm guessing vacuum leak. So let's test this theory out with some brake clean on the intake. Okay, I'm gonna spray around where the intake gaskets are and see if the engine does anything. So far, nothing. So now I'm guessing maybe it's the throttle body. Okay, I think we should disconnect the intake tube off the throttle body and turn the key on but not start it and hit the gas and see if it opens and closes normally. Because the little motor that runs it, if it's going out, whenever I hit the gas, it could be trying to shut it or something weird like that. Okay, it looks like we need to unhook this little sensor here. Okay, and then looks like that just pulls out. Need to go get my clamp tools though. Got my clamper tool. Get this out. Looks like I'm gonna need to disconnect this. And if you can hear a little whining noise, it's the electric water pump running. Because it was just running. The car was. So it circulates, tries to cool it down before it shuts off. Okay, let's stop it here. Put that right there. Well, I forgot that was on. Plug that back up. Yep, that's a coolant line. I'm so dumb. Wow. Well, it didn't get in the little plug, so we're good. Good there. I wonder how long it takes for that to shut off. Well, we'll come back when the pump is off. Well, I'm gonna do what I probably should have done in the first place. Disconnect the battery. So I just did that. Now we can continue. Oh geez, that scared me. It's a good thing it's not that hot since I only ran it for like 2 minutes. Oh, this one comes off. Just pulls off? No. I don't know how that comes off. I think this is a vacuum line. Don't want to break that tube. It's holding it. There's nothing underneath. There we go. Okay, well we can see in there, so I guess that's good enough. I'll sneak you in there. Then have you watch for me while I hit the gas pedal. The throttle body is plugged back in. What'd it do? Now I'm going to be putting the coil pack back onto the side of the block where it is supposed to be. I'm going to start by unplugging it and unplugging all of the wires. Now that the coil pack is out of the way, I can go ahead and move all of these out of the way so I can screw it back in. This is for the air injection pump. It injects air into the intake for emissions and all that. I don't know if this is supposed to face upward or downwards. I would assume upwards. I need to check that. Actually, the numbers are facing up, so I believe, and the cord comes from above, so yeah, it goes like this. Okay, now I'm gonna go get the screws. Got the screws. Or the bolts. Okay. I had just realized that I forgot to clean it off before putting it on there, so I'm spraying it off with brake clean and I'm gonna get it all nice and clean before I put that coil back on so there's no oil underneath it. Oops, almost forgot this part. Dang. And I need to plug this back in. Oops. Yep, that's upside down. Dang it. You see, I thought it was upside down before because of how weird the wire looked, but it was supposed to go that way. The way that the wire goes in a little track, I'm not sure if I showed it or not, and then it bends over and clips into the plug. So I took the whole thing out, flipped it upside down, just to find out that it was still in the wrong way. I even tried to hook up the plugs. Not good. Finally figured it out. So it goes this direction. This goes on the top. And then the reason I thought it was backwards is because the cord was like all weird and sticking up. The cord goes in this little tray right here. And then those little tabs latch down on it. And it curls up and clips right there. Very interesting. So now I gotta get all the wires on there plugged in. This should all go in good now. Number 1, which is way down here. Number 3, right next to it. This is number 5, right there. Should be, yep, right next to that. This is number 6, right there. Number 2. And number 4. Right there. Now that this is all hooked up properly, I'm going to start it and see if bad ground could have been our issue. Probably not, but we'll see. I might have the firing order wrong. Let me double check, I'll get back. I had 2 and 4 switched on accident, so let's try this again. Fired right up. No check engine light, which is what I don't understand. See, I read on a forum that this of it wanting to die when you hit the gas is a symptom of the crank position sensor failing because it won't show a check engine light. So I'm gonna get a new one. And we're either out of gas or the wire isn't hooked up because that guy, the mechanic, replaced the fuel pump. Here you go, I put the engine cover on for you all so you can see what it looks like and what we're missing. We're missing the piece here that has the Volkswagen logo. Found one for $26 on Evil Bay at Vice Grip Garage. And this piece is toasted. All the clips are broken, and so is this piece that screws on. So I need that. But this piece is good. And I'm also missing the screws for it. Dang it! I don't know what this guy's deal was with stealing screws. It is 10:56 p.m. right now, and I just got done thinking about what could possibly be wrong with the issues of the car running. Now, a couple hours ago, I went out there and had my little scan tool, and I was going to see if there's any codes hiding since there's no check engine light. And I had it running while I was scanning them, and I was like giving it some gas. It was doing a sputtering thing. I never revved it over like 2,500 RPM, and I didn't get any codes. But then when I looked behind the car, I noticed a little wet spot under the exhaust pipe. And I like stuck my finger on it and smelled it, and it smelled like gas. So I was like, oh. And usually that's a symptom of a bad fuel regulator. So I went online and I ordered a fuel regulator, and then I was just sitting here thinking, maybe the vacuum line that goes through the regulator and to the intake valve, that's intake valve. I'll put it on the screen here because I can't remember what it's called now. That thing, the vacuum line could be snapped, and I went and checked it, and it is snapped. So we could be having no vacuum to the fuel regulator, which is causing it to just dump fuel into it. So tomorrow, actually, I will be plugging that and seeing if it solves the issue. If it does, then I won't, or I'll cancel my order on that fuel regulator, and we'll fix the vacuum line, or if we have to get a new one, we might have to get a new one. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more episodes, and I'll see you in the next one.